our world is upholstered with our thinking. As you look around the room, what you're seeing is your mind projected outwards, based on data that's streaming in, and then all the meaning that you give things, all the things you make things mean and that sort of thing. But data, the stuff out there in the world, is completely ambiguous. It could mean anything. Any meaning you make of something, that's the meaning you've given it. Which gets us where? Well, so when you're a little kid, you made a map of yourself as who you think you are, and that map includes, your body and your life and your world and all that stuff, your ideas about who you are and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of, and your perceptions of what you've, thought of as limitations and limiting beliefs and that sort of thing. You've learned all that at one point or another. And that's who you think you are. But who you really are is not that. So like if I show you this, if I shake this, it's all cloudy with sparkles, lovely sparkles. And you can think of those as being like thoughts. So your head's got all kinds of thoughts. The thoughts about what's out there and what's going on, and thoughts about you and what you can do and what you can't do. It's all thoughts. When there's a lot of thoughts, when there's a whole bunch of thoughts racing around your head, it kind of seems like if I'm getting freaked out about something, my head's all full of thoughts and it's going real fast, it seems like what I'm thinking is true. It's like, oh, this is happening and that's not good and that sort of stuff. But the funny thing is, when it settles down and you start to get a little more clear, get some clarity and peace of mind, whether that's in the shower or when you're going for a walk or lying on the beach or watching a movie, or just you wake up and it's one of those mornings and your head's completely clear, you find that actually you're perceiving very accurately, very well. And the funny thing is, we think we're those thoughts. Sometimes, if I've been eating too much, or if I stopped eating sugar a few weeks ago, but if I was, a few months ago, if I ate a whole bunch of ice cream at night, which I tended not to do, but if I did, I'd wake up the next morning, I would definitely look way fatter than I did the day before. And I'm like, well, I can't have put on, I know I ate a cubic meter of ice cream, but no, if I had a liter of ice cream, there's no way that I can have put on a stone in weight from eating a liter of ice cream. But it sure looked like it. So what's different? Well, my perceptions have been changed by my thinking. My thinking's different. So when I'm thinking that, if your perceptions of you were real, if they were who you really are, then they would always be the same. You would always feel the same way about yourself. You would wake up and you'd feel the same way from one day to the next about yourself. But how you feel about yourself tends to go up and down, does it not? So that means it's made up. It's based on thinking. It's based on your thinking. It's based on your thoughts. And that means that what you're relating to is an idea of who you are rather than who you really are. And those ideas of who you are that stuff floating around. But the cool thing is this. Those ideas and those thoughts about who you are and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of and all that stuff, that's not even you. That's just some ideas about you. Who you really are is the stuff that those thoughts are floating in, which is clarity, which is peace of mind, which is well-being. That's who you really are. You're not the thoughts. And the funny thing is, if you look at the thoughts, they hardly take up any volume whatsoever. They don't occupy much space at all. And the funny thing is, often we'll think, oh God, it'd be terrible if that happened, or I couldn't stand it if this happened, or oh God, what if that happened? The bottom would fall out of my world. But the funny thing is, you're totally resilient. Who you really are is resilient. Our ideas about ourselves, they're not resilient at all. It's like, oh, I'm very fragile, I couldn't handle it. But who you really are is resilient. And funnily enough, you'll sometimes find people, something disastrous happens to them, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, I've never felt so alive. I've never felt so good. I feel it's really good. Because what's happened is their ideas of who they are have kind of got knocked out of the way, either temporarily or permanently. It's just like, wow, it turns out I wasn't who I thought I was. And then who you really are emerges. And who you really are is, just fine. You know, well-being and peace of mind and clarity, that's your true nature. That's who you really are.